I know. I know. I know it's been a while. Where I been? Yeah, a lot of things has happened. A lot of things has happened since the last episode. A lot of growing, a lot of maturing, but I knew I wasn't going nowhere. I knew y'all didn't want me going nowhere, and I knew y'all missed this. So, I've been pondering on these two episodes, starting with this one for a while. I know, like, what the hell is going on, right? Okay. Okay. Um, Not to go much in detail because I want to get into the episode. I know it's been a while. I know y'all have been missing me, with everything we're doing, and once again we're bringing it back with going even more in depth, but more on a broader scale. So, long story short, I've been evolving. I've been evolving as a human being. I've been evolving as, on my spiritual journey. I've been evolving on my human experience. I've been evolving just everywhere I can possibly evolve. And usually when evolution comes with someone, it comes with a lot of very, very deep downs as well, from with me dealing with a lot of changes and a lot of transitions, and I'm in a lot of transitions right now. um Last year, 2024, if you've been following me, I have, in addition to licensed massage therapy, this is also a renewal year, and I did renew. I have renewed my license, so I got another 4 years. I'm still doing licensed massage therapy. That's not going nowhere, and that plays a part of today's topic. But I also added more of a spiritual, energetic work. If you haven't followed me, follow me on the Zodiac Experience, or at the Zodiac Experience, Instagram, TikTok, on YouTube, just everywhere you can, even fan base. And right now we kind of revamping everything and going through a lot. There's a lot of ups, a lot of highs, as in just evolution high, not the other high. I haven't been I'm gonna skip that. But it's been a lot of evolution, but I also have been through a lot of downs. Some may know I've dealt with a lot of deep, very close loss, processing through that. I've been kind of processing through with recently being my mom. Um, you know, pretty much right before Christmas. So, um, and earlier the year, was my pops. So, two losses last year. And just I'm starting to come back out. I'm starting to kind of make my way out. And I figured the best way to do that is, why not to start with these episodes? I've been holding these episodes for like over a year. These were the next two episodes um that I wanted to do right after the last episode, and starting with this one. So let's get into that. This episode is called Boundaries. Boundaries, I think, is very vital and very important when it comes down to, excuse me, when it comes down to business in general, both on the client side and the business side. If you decided to go on your own, you can do employee as well. There's boundaries that needs to be set up, where you stand and your stance on everything, that can easily be overlooked or overdone, over manipulated if you're not careful. So we're going to get into boundaries, right? And I like to start with the client aspect of it when it comes down to boundaries. So, as a client, if you go to a massage establishment, I've also talked about what that looks like before. Brief thing, I would suggest, from my perspective, to go to um, a license. massage therapist, because that's going to be the best option to uphold your boundaries as a client. It can be very easy without the option of, or other options is non-licensed that can lead to other things that can easily cross over to, your boundaries not being upheld. Unless that's what you're looking for, then do what you want to do. But if you're looking for healing, you're looking for being, because when it comes down to a space like licensed massage therapy or massage therapy, when it comes down to this space, is a very vulnerable space, and it's a very intimate type of closeness, not sexual, but in some. This is why the line can easily be overlooked, right? And then, like a good friend of mine, you don't see things for how they are, you see things from how you are. Shout out to Sanctity Massage, that stated that in one of the previous episodes. Check that out. So for the client, is best or suggested to go to a licensed massage therapist that has their license. um, that is going to set you up for a good boundary. So when you have your session and you find that if it's a franchise, if it's a privately owned establishment, registered, et cetera, um, you know, once you do that, there's other things that you can set in boundaries too, to make sure you have that consultation, make sure you have that conversation to what you're looking to get out of the session, you know, um, to tailor it up and make sure it's the best fit for you. That's another way to kind of uphold your boundary, because if that conversation isn't had, if you're just looking to relax or whatever, that's something different. But if you're not having a conversation and truly looking for somebody to help better fit uh your need of healing and your journey, then it can easily, may not be the best fit for you, right? So with a client, there's multiple things you can do. After the consultation, you can get into more of, when it comes down to making sure your part of the business is taken care of, and make sure you did that. But let's get more into the massage as a client. There's certain things that you can do to set boundaries um, on your session. Some sessions people can talk a lot. You can come across a therapist that speak a lot. um you can set a boundary there of you not wanting to hear that. Like, I would like to just focus on the session and make that verbal. That can be done during the consultation. You can focus on, if you can tell the conversation starting to drift and you want to hear it, it's like, can we just focus on this back or whatever? You have a voice. You don't have to just go with the flow. You have the power to dictate it, right? To set the tone and to achieve what you're looking to achieve in the session yourself. You just got to be verbal about it. Now, there's a saying, or not a saying, but there's a suggestion when it comes down to getting undressed. When the client walks out, of course, we're getting undressed, which is the client, or not the client, but the licensed massage therapist walks out to give you the privacy to get undressed to your comfort level. That is very vital, and that's important, because you can also look at that as a boundary setter, right? So if you feel comfortable, you're supposed to be draped all the way around, boom, boom, boom. But if you feel comfortable, you can be completely undressed, 100%. No, if you're female, no bra, no underwear or panties. You can undress fully. Males, you can, undress fully. Y'all know what it is. Take off your underwear or whatever. You can do all that. That's fine, because you're supposed to be draped and only worked on through the regulations, through the way it's supposed to be, is lined up with the license, worked on, or the only thing supposed to be exposed is the work on area, right? So when it comes down to it, that can look different though, right? And that kind of builds that trust, right? Because there's a modality called Lomi Lomi. And this is where things can get a little, and I've talked about it, mentioned it before. It's a Hawaiian modality where technically majority of you is exposed except for your private area. You can look it up on YouTube, Lomi Lomi, check it out. That's a different modality. So it comes down to draping, but it comes down to that type of therapist. Make sure you check out the work and everything like that. Make sure it's comfortable for you. But one thing you can set up over regular massage with regular draping, et cetera, et cetera. One thing you can set up is, if you don't want the area worked on, is to leave that like dressed, leave that covered, right? So if you don't want your feet worked on, keep your socks on. If you don't want your glutes work on, keep your underwear on. If you don't want, for ladies, you don't want, you can keep your bra on. With the license, we are trained to be able to go around those areas and still be able to give a official or a efficient session to benefit you, working around the areas you don't feel comfortable. That's why we say that. Make sure you take advantage of that, right? And making sure, your time is utilized, correctly. Some therapists, can go overtime, so you want to make sure you set the tone to make sure you get the most out of it that benefits you. And those are things, and there could be more comment, more for therapists that are listening. You can comment more down. But going back to the draping a little bit, the draping can be different, but still cover the main purpose for draping, right? So like I said, there's Lomi Lomi. You can check that out, and that can be a little bit more exposed with that if you want that type of modality. If you don't, then you don't pick that. It's that simple. Just get a regular session. But at the same time, it's a lot that that you can do to set those boundaries. Like if you keep your socks on, technically speaking, no therapist should be taking off anything. Even if it's your sock, no therapist should be taking off your sock. That's considered undressing, right? And definitely, you know, and no therapist should be like going under, if you still have like your underwear on, going under your underwear, right? That shouldn't be happening either, because I mean, think about it. Just picture yourself in that situation that can feel a little bit uncomfortable. All right. So you want to make sure those are subtle cues to make sure your boundaries are not being set. And anytime if you feel uncomfortable with that, now there could be a conversation with the therapist, um, with everything that's going on. A therapist could communicate with you and ask you to, I need to get to this area, your problem area, and it's being covered. I could step back out. Would you mind adjusting? Or adjusting what needs to be worked on so I can better work on that area, if you feel comfortable with that. Like there can be a conversation with it, and that therapist can step out. You can make the adjustment. If you feel comfortable, the therapist come back in and do what needs to be. But also with the session, you're building that trust. So um another thing is, if at any given time as the client that you feel uncomfortable, right? You feel uncomfortable, you do also have the authority to end the session, right? You can stop the session right there. If you don't like it, you don't like where this is going, I feel uncomfortable, I would like to end the session. And you know, by you ending the session, you have authority to do so. The session is over. So there's multiple boundaries when it comes down to a session, and that's in franchises, private sessions, or whatever the case may be, right? This is just kind of going down guidelines, but it's going to get deeper as we go forward, right? So these are boundaries that the client have. And like I said, if other therapists that's looking, if there's more, you can comment below, and we can start a conversation if I missed anything. But those are like the gist or the gist if I'm saying that right, of the of the boundaries for the client to make sure you have the best session beneficial to you without putting yourself in a position that can possibly uh, cross over that line. You don't want to put yourself in that position. But like I said, it's what you want, and you see therapists out here and that's what you decide to go to. It is 100% up to you. I have no say or anything. You get what you want to get, whatever. It's whatever you go for, that's what you go for. That's all I'm saying. But when it comes down to professional, is preferred, because there's things that can be done. It's not just rubbing. There's things that can be done if you're not careful that can hurt you. You need to know how things should be doing. Like, you want to make sure with extremities, you want to rub, or not rub because you're not rubbing. You want to have your techniques flowing towards the heart. Otherwise you can mess up your blood flow. You want to make sure you're not going over the skeletal system, because that can be painful. You can hurt somebody with that. You want to make sure that you're properly trained, or you have a therapist that's properly trained to give you the best, safest session possible. And you're not going to do that because there's a lot of things to learn about license besides therapy, or there's a lot to learn about it, that the typical person that you may see, that you may be of interest to non-license wise, may not know about, and next thing you know, you could be having some issues. So that's pretty much on the client side of boundaries of going there. Um, But let's flip it to the massage therapist side, um, which is very important, especially for the self-employed, the one that has gone down the road of working for themselves. That can be very easy taken advantage of by clients, and that's part of what has encouraged me to do this episode. It's a lot to talk about with that. Keeping it on a business level. Now, before I get into all this, for clients, it is okay to, if you trust that you built that trust up with the therapist, to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable with boundaries is healthy, right? Being vulnerable without boundaries and not understanding where to go can be unhealthy. But like I said, you choose where you want to go. But at the end of the day, because there are people, especially non-licensed people, um, that can take advantage of that. And you want to try to keep yourself safe. Now, with that, I'm not a type of person, I say that to say this, it's really dependent on who you go to. And at the end of the day, licensed massage therapists like myself, we have the license, but that's just a title that doesn't define us. And I know multiple people that the title doesn't define us, but it is there as a gesture of saying we did the training. It's not, we're more than this, but we do follow the protocol as well, right? We're more than this. We're not defined by that. That piece of paper don't mean nothing to me, because I know who I am and I know what I offer. I know what I can do regardless of the paper. But still, I still have the paper. Okay, so it is two different things on how people would say, that kind of goes with that, being said, right? And that's no disrespect for anybody that's not licensed or anything like that. It's just, it is what it is, right? So going back into self-employed, how boundaries is very, very crucial as well. Because just like the client can be taken advantage of without their boundaries in place, us as self-employed, working for ourselves, building our vision, building our brand, can also be taken advantage of by the client. Right now, with that situation, that can be going both ways, depending if you're, a male therapist or a female therapist. That can go both ways. Regardless how it is there's boundary that needs to be placed. And through my experiences, I've learned, like, to make sure you have boundaries in place that suits your business best to thrive. I'm talking specifically to self-employees, right? To the founders and practitioners, et cetera, et cetera. Because if you're not careful, there can be a lot of clients that you can consider as a friend, but you may not be able to consider at the same time as a friend, right? Because once a friendship is you can tell friendship's trying to be built. They want to know more about you and everything like that, and it's at your discretion what you want to share or you want to keep private or whatever is up to you. But all I'm saying is, only reason I'm saying is a lot of people can take advantage of your kindness. They can take advantage of your friendship. And there's a lot of clients that will, because clientele aren't used to speaking with owners, right? They're not used to having the foundation or the connection to an owner or to a founder. They're not used to talking to who created and owns Netflix. They're not used to talking to who created and owns, Walmart or owns anything. They're not, so when they go to a self-employed and they have that connection, they know you have the authority to change anything that you want to change. And this is where boundaries have to be put in place, because it's very easy for the client to try to go and disrespect your policy, try to disrespect your scheduling, even disrespect your calendar, right? I done had multiple people text me because my calendar that I created and in charge of, right, says a certain time slot is blocked. Yeah, it's my calendar and I'm not available to do that. But then there's a boundary that easily gets crossed because they want to like double check as if that's not your calendar that you set up, as if somebody else controlled that calendar. It's saying this. So, I'm going to ask you about it. And it's like, if the calendar says that's what it says, that's what it is. I control my own calendar. Nobody has access to my calendar but me. Nobody has access to my scheduling and all that. It's all me. It's an extension of me and extension of the boundaries, right? Because you can get a lot of call no-shows if you don't have a deposit. That can be a boundary set up. It's like, okay, I'm going to eliminate people that just go in the book and changing their mind. Once they got to put money down, it'll lower that down, and that can be placed as a boundary. Your pricing can be set as a boundary, because certain prices bring certain people. And if you have a habit of giving deals, that can attract people that only want your deals. And they may tell you, oh my gosh, you're the best massage therapist in the world, hands down, it's not easy for you to be followed. But the moment it requires for them to pay for it, or you increase your price because you got a lot of demand on you, all of a sudden that goes away, and if you happen to get rid of your memberships, guess what? Everybody leaves now, because what they do, not all, but there's a lot of people that wants deals and they want to encourage you and keep going and be nice and everything. But a lot of people, bottom line, want deals. And if it's not benefiting them, then they'll go somewhere else with the deal. This is why it's important to set boundaries up firsthand, up front, so you don't have to deal with it. Right. So, I experienced that firsthand. Right. So, know your worth, know your value, set boundaries up, and that way you don't have to reorganize everything that's going. Because those people, if they really, really support and serious about supporting you, they're still going to come. They're still going to come to you. They're still going to schedule all of that. But if they don't, then then hey, it's all good. It wasn't best for you. It wasn't best for your service. You want somebody that's going to honor and respect your time, respect your value, respect your policies, respect your business, because they're not necessarily thinking about what you got going on. They're not thinking about, your life. If you got a family, you got a kids, they don't care about anything. Clients typically just think or feel like you're just sitting in this room waiting for life to happen to them so you can be ready for them to do it. They want to put you in a medicine cabinet. They want to just confine you in a box and have you be there and want you to wait here. Don't go anywhere until, you know, I'm having a problem. And then I want to come and get a massage when I want to get a massage. I had a client recently that scheduled, booked, and she never showed up. And then text and was like, I could come later on. And it's like, wait a minute. What do you mean come later on? You scheduled your appointment. You paid for it. I'm here. You're not here. Right? So with that, I'm not understanding what you mean schedule it for later on, because clients think they can utilize you to go against you. They don't have the respect enough to say that's my bad or have accountability. And then when you force it, it's like that's a no call, no show. I have a policy in place for that. And then when they force it and now they are out of their money and they didn't get a session because they maybe forgot or something came up or spaced it or whatever the case may be, now they want to come later as if I gave you money, so you owe me a session. It doesn't work that way, so it's very important and vital that you do that. Some may try to, it's always a client trying to look for a loophole, trying to be in favor. A lot of clients want to, this is not all again, but a lot of clients want to be the exception. This is where they want to get buddy with you and kind of, encourage your ego because they want to be the exception to the rule. They want to be the one, especially if they really like your session, they want to be the one where the rules don't apply to them. So you have to be careful of that. You have to set those boundaries. It's very important. It's vital, right? Because you will know who is who when all stuff comes down to a head. Because at the end of the day, like for me, I've been doing this for 6 years, right? And as you continue to grow, continue to evolve, in order to even keep your license, you got to evolve anyway. You got to take all these CEUs, do all these credits just to renew the license, right? Which by default automatically gives you more value because the CEUs you was forced to take in order to keep the license gave you more knowledge and expertise in your field. So by default, you always evolve. Now, you can accelerate, you can evolve a different way, and all of that stuff. It's up to you how you do it. But that's what people don't understand necessarily, right? So I encourage, the self-employed, stand on your boundaries. Of course, there's ways to do that. There's middle ground. Yes, life happens, but eventually you will have to get to a point to where you need to stand your ground. You got to get to a point where you have to stand your ground and enforce those policies. And it's good to enforce them early on. So that way they know that you're not a pushover. I saw a video yesterday on Instagram talking about the word no. And he was saying that oftentimes if you are like a yes man or a yes woman, or you allow all of these to be taken advantage of, and you're so used to saying yes, even when you want to say no, you say yes, that creates a problem because we can get in a habit of thinking the moment we're like, yep, we're going to say no, it's not anchored. You're not able to stand that ground, and it is considered, clients can consider you, so even if it's subconsciously, weak. They feel like they can overpower you or put their will over your will to do that. They want to try to make you feel guilty. I had a client that called me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I can't get out of work. We can reschedule this." I'm like, wait a minute, you don't have the authority to that. What you mean we can reschedule something that you scheduled, paid for, and failed to show up? It's so easy for people to just really devalue who you are. And you have to stand your ground. You have to say no and mean it and be good. If they don't want to come back, fine. They're not for you anyway, because most people are trying to get over. They want deals. Some people may not get certain items at the grocery store until it's a 2 for $6 or a 2 for $7. I'll wait till there's a deal and then I get. I'll wait till, and this is how crazy it is. The deal can only be 10 cents off the regular price. Say you get bread for, you get a loaf of bread that's $2 each, is $4 regular price. And now you got a deal that's 50% off or 15% off. And now that bread, 2 loaves, is costing $3.75. Did you really get a deal? Or did you just saw something, that triggers and make you think you have a deal, right? That can happen as well. And even when it comes down to franchises, the good thing about being an employee is you don't necessarily have to deal with. There can be some people that wants to overdo their try to challenge your boundary as a therapist. And, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. You know all about that. That often happens during like foot spas and stuff, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. So it's everywhere that you go. But for the therapists, especially the ones that watch the show, that is something to set in place, right? To make sure that you are being respected for your time. Make sure that your business is being valued the way that you need it to be valued and respected. Because if you don't, they're going to look for a loophole. The idea, especially if they like your service, is to get as close to you as possible, learn all about you, try to approach you as a friendship, because the whole idea is to like the sheep called wolf, like the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I'm pretending to be grandma. They're trying to get close to you because they want to take advantage of you. Now, that could be, I'm not saying that's every client, but most of the time, they're trying to build the exception where they don't have to follow the rules and you be more lenient towards them. And you just have to be able to call it what it is, stand on your ground, say no, and mean it and live with the situation. You will be fine. And I know a lot of times we back down from that word no because we may be in need, maybe economy right now at this moment is shit. Yeah, it is shit right now, economy, and it's low, and you may need that. But at the same time, it comes down to where's your values. Are you going to devalue yourself and allow somebody to manipulate and overpower your policy and what you actually want to do because you need the money? Or are you going to uphold your stance and uphold where you stand for when it comes to your business that validates you? Because like I said, they're not thinking about you with their kid or with your kids. If you have kids, they're not thinking about with your family. They think you literally exist in this room, and this room is their medicine cabinet. Straight up. 9 times out of 10, that's what it is. But you also have clients that do respect your time. And those are the ones that stick around. I have plenty of clients that said, it doesn't matter if I got to come down, to just one session a month. I'm still coming. You're my massage therapist. I feel best comfortable with you. And that are the ones you want to build with because they respect you. They understand, like I said, once you got years in, your prices increases. You got to live too. Everything else is going up. Grocery store is going up. Gas is going, everything is going up. But for some reason, people expect for you to stay the same as it was 6 years ago. It doesn't work like that, right? It doesn't work like that, right? Plenty of people will try to take advantage of your business. You're going to run into them more than ever. And the best thing you can do, this is where experience come in. Experience is the best teacher, is to adjust as you go. Adjust as you go, right? Make sure that is done. Meaning, make sure, okay, now this is the deposit is a little bit higher. Maybe it's 50% deposit now. You still want the session? Oh, okay, cool. Let's rock then. Okay. Remember, I'm not doing memberships anymore. I've been doing it for X amount of years. I need full value now, right? You still want to work with me? Okay, cool. Once you start building that, you'll find your clientele and you just keep going there. Starting off is where you can be the most vulnerabilist of your boundaries because you don't even know what boundaries to put in place. You may know some, but it can cost you a lot of time. It can cost you a lot of backtracking. It can cost you a lot of stuff. So I suggest you really thoroughly look into um, how you want your day to be. Find like-minded individuals that's already doing their own practice and pick their brain if they're willing to sit down with you. Try to get as much knowledge as possible to establish the boundary for your business and your life. It's plenty. They may try to talk about, you got any kids, and you set that firm boundary up front. A lot of people don't do that, right? A lot of people, you may even have another boundary is you may even have, I don't want to necessarily say the boundary, but you're going to also have plenty of people looking at you, plenty of people trying to judge you, plenty of people trying to go in and this, that, and the third. I've seen other therapists talk about other therapists while judging that therapist, and they're doing the same freaking thing, right? I'm not saying that's a boundary. It's just putting out that people are watching and people are always in competition and always trying to get over on you, right? And this is why boundaries are important, which also goes down to a personal space. Now, at a personal manner, it's very important to be in alignment with yourself. It's very important to understand who you are. It's very important to, that's a rabbit hole. You know what? Check this out. If you haven't noticed, if you're still following me, if you've seen my Instagram or whatnot, I actually have another page that I'm partnering with called Zodyac Star. So I now technically have two podcast episodes. I'm bringing this back. First one, boundaries, more broad. If you have questions, we can go in on it and we can keep going. So it's more broad here, specifically more on the business aspect and the massage therapy field aspect, and it's kind of more surface and not going to be too long of episodes or whatnot, but is definitely going to bring back the conversations and joys, and I'm bring back guests, and we finally got this thing together. We're gonna start rocking and rolling, right? But if you're interested and you're on the journey of self, because this is where I want to talk about boundaries. There's another episode that we're going to dig deeper into the personal space. So I don't want to go into that aspect right away. Check the channel out, Zodyac Star, just like the Zodiac Experience, Zodyac Star. It's going to go over there where we're going to go more on the spiritual journey. So if you're looking more on the spiritual journey aspect, check that out. Make sure you may see it on my page. You can go to YouTube. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on Amazon. It's practically everywhere. It's even on iHeartRadio, I believe. Amazon. Yeah, I said Amazon. So, at Zodyac Star, where the we'll just say part two of boundaries take place on a deeper, more spiritual, intimate, self knowing thyself level, right? This episode, I just wanted to make sure that I come in real quick, talk about boundaries, give certain aspects, give certain mindsets from the experience and everything that I've um experienced or endured and changes that I've made to understand that, boundaries is important, right? Another thing on business wise, when it comes down to boundaries, is to make sure you're not putting out just anything. Be cautious or be of what you or and how you display your work. Don't put out anything that may others think differently. But I do say put out what's authentic to you, right? That's a very thin line, so I'm going to break this down. If you're not licensed, we'll be able to tell. Easy. But kind of goes back what my friend Sanctity said, you're not seeing things for how they are, you're seeing things for who you are, right? But make sure you can live with your content of your advertisement. I can live with mine, I can back it up. I got 5 stars only on there, right? So just make sure you're sure about what you put out, because then that's where all people eyes, their judgment, their opinions and all that. It doesn't matter, but make sure you are sure about what you put out. And above all, be authentically who you are. That's what needs to be protected the most. Be authentic of who you are. Right? Don't be ashamed to put out anything if you're genuinely doing it. Right? If you're genuinely doing it. If it's from the heart, it's from who you are, you put it out. It is this freedom of expression. It's none of their business, and how they take it is how they take it. Right? But just make sure you can stand on that. Don't put out anything that you're not comfortable with. Don't try to say you can do a certain modality and you're not comfortable doing that modality. You're trying to figure it out. Don't put out you can do fire cupping and you never had trained, nobody ever taught you. Don't follow the crowd. Most people, everybody's doing post-op massages. Everybody's doing it. But is that who you are? So you're trying to put out this and that energy is going to be felt. If you don't like doing cupping, but you advertising cupping and somebody comes for cupping, it's going to be, It's going to be, because it wasn't who you wanted. It's not what you want to do anyway. Now you're allowing yourself to be taken advantage of, and you're trying to, I get it. You're trying to just get the sale. We're in business. We're trying to sell our expertise, our service. I get it. But make sure you're putting out what you want to do and who you are that best represents you. That's what I mean by that. Make sure it's you. If it's not bringing you joy, if it's not, passion, if you're not passionate about it and you kind of dread and just looking at the time, that's not you, then don't put it out trying to offer it. All money ain't good money. You want to build within your boundaries. You want to build within your practice and what feels good for you to do. Be who you are, authentically, unapologetically, straight up. No sugarcoating, no none of that. Place your boundaries so you can live every day the way you intend it to be. The way you intend it to be. Because people are going to try you. People, they don't want you to move forward. They don't want you to grow, especially if you're great. You may have some people, bring you people, and then they stop spreading the word about you because you're getting too busy. They want to make sure they can get in a session too. And, they want to get in a session. I ain't saying nothing wrong with it. There may be some people that, want that only go by what I can do today. Do you want those type of clientels? Do you want to feel like you're on call? I don't. I like to wake up, and my boundary is when I wake up, whatever is going on today, that's what's going on. Unless they don't show up. I'm not taking same days. That's my boundary because people want to put their chaos in life on you. That's what you got to think about. You got to look at it from their perspective of how is their life going. You can tell when somebody's in chaos and, oh, I'm everywhere. I'm tired. I'm this. I'm that. Oh, I'm off of work. Oh, I got a brief moment. Do you have anything available tonight? This and that. And if you're not careful, that energy can be transferred to you, and you can be taking on people that you don't want to take on. It's like, why do I feel like I'm having anxiety? Or why do I feel like that's carried over to me? Because you allow people to cross that boundary. If that's one of the boundaries. Another boundary is people showing up super early, especially when there's no reason for them to show up. They would rather be here and try to get in as soon as possible because, especially in a business, with my business, as a Zodyac experience, you fill out intake, you fill out all that stuff. So you do not need to be here more than 5 minutes unless you need to use the restroom or something. Even then, I done left a session with my next client that's not supposed to be here for another 30 minutes sitting right outside the door. What are you here for? I'm kind of early. They're only early because they want to take advantage of you. They want more time. We can start early, but since you kind of got that extra time and I showed up early, maybe I could squeeze out another 15 minutes out of you. Maybe I could squeeze out another 30 out of you. People, and then they smile in your face while they do it. There's no reason for you need to be here early. If you're early, there's a whole planet outside of them doors. Go mall, go sit in the car, go do something. You don't have to be sitting right here waiting for me to get out because you're early. Drive around, go get you a coffee or something. That's another thing trying to infringe or try to get over on you. People are going, if you're good too, if you're good, oh man, you better watch out. You better watch out. People are after you. People will do what they can to get every extra minute as possible. Because like we learned in school, you with these skill sets and techniques become the drug. You become the drug. Especially if you're showing how good and what how good your service is, that how much it can help on the day to day. You can relieve headaches, you can relieve this. Where people start like anything I go through, I am confident in my therapist to be able to help me with it. And if you have that skill set, that's fine, that's great. But certain things can, if you don't watch it and it goes unchecked, they can kind of try to see what they can get over on you with. If it's showing up early, if it's showing up, if it's to be in favor, they want to try to get you to owe them favors by saying, it could be something like, yeah, I can volunteer, and this is why you don't need to be sharing everything because they'll utilize that against you too, right? Say you low on, you know, you shouldn't be sharing your business anyway. I mean, but do what you want to do. And if you have a habit and, you fall for the friendship type of aspect and they know about going on, they know you're struggling a little bit. Oh, yeah. I'll pay for 30. I give you this. Just give me 2 extra ones, 2 extra sessions. They try to make a deal and bargain with you with that. If you're not careful, you got to really watch what you do, what you say. Really watch that. Hell, I done had somebody buy a Christmas gift certificate session that clearly has the expiration date on it. Christmas, December. And now they're trying to use that same certificate all the way in June in the middle of the summer. That's 2 seasons ago. We about to come up on Christmas again. Yeah, she didn't get to use it. Well, my policy, there's an expiration right then and there. Another reason of trying to get over on you. And they think you stupid. They think that you can't tell because they want to bargain. They want to do business, right? They know what you say, but I'm talking to you now, and you don't mean what you say, right? And knowing that you're starting off, they know that you need the money, and it can go even further than that. You know how far this really can go? This can go so far to the point where people will try to manipulate the growth of your business. If you got a lot of word of mouth going on, like I said earlier, they may just stop telling people or whatever, woo woo woo. Some people will try to mind game and mind trick you to, especially if you rise in prices, to try to give you to give a deal. Like, oh, we ain't coming to you no more. I want to book a session. They may say something to text you. I'm looking to book a session. Uh, you know, this is their negotiation deal of trying to figure out if they can get a different price for what you're asking for. I'll come to you and I want to come to you for a session, but that's a little too high. You got any deals, any coupons or anything going on? They value the deals more than your actual service. They don't value you. They don't care about you. They care about what you offer. They care about what you offer and trying to get it offered according to their budget, which is, I mean, it's understandable, but if you don't have it, you don't have it. But not even their budget, more to their convenience. That's what it is. They care about what you have to offer and they want it to be at their convenience. If it's time wise, if it's price wise, whatever the case may be, at their convenience. And they want your business to operate at their convenience. Even the scheduling. I had people sit here and say, oh, well, my schedule says this. I'm not doing this based off of your schedule. My schedule and the way I want my day to work and my day to day is this. If you can't do it, fine. That's no problem. But I'm not adjusting my life and my schedule because you don't get off of work till such and such, or this is the only time you have available. I'm not setting my schedule up for that. I can care less what you are available. This is when I'm available. And if this doesn't work, then that's another boundary. We're not the best for one another. Because I'm not changing my days to accommodate you because I want to get paid for a session and you want me to and you want to give me or pay for the session only at the convenience of so forth and so forth. So you got to be careful on that. You got to be careful on that. I promise you, they'll look for loopholes. If you got this, they'll test to see if you have memberships or if their membership is expired. They'll test to see if they can still book, and hopefully you'll say nothing. I know all the games. I see all the games that go all the way through. This is what requires for this episode. Boundaries. I see all of it. I just don't say 90% of it. And if you don't stand your ground and if you don't get used to putting those boundaries in place, then that also can extend from you, which is going down more of the spiritual aspect, extend from you don't have boundaries with yourself. You don't value yourself. There can be a lack of self-worth. You don't value your time. You don't value your efforts. All that stuff you went through and you're allowing somebody to walk all over it because you're trying to make a living. You want $1. They know that you need service. They know in order for the business to be successful, you're going to need services, but they're going to have to pay for it too. But the idea is they want to pay what they want to pay and want you to change what you're worth being paid for, especially if you've been doing it for so long. And I've reached that point. This is part of a lot of the transitioning is happening on the back end. I'm getting to the point where I want to start helping future licensed massage therapists. I want to start helping future business owners to help them kind of get off the ground, give them the game, give them the understanding of what's going on, and starting with the key ingredients, starting with boundaries, starting with making sure that everything is in place and it goes by what you want your day to go by, not in the convenience of anybody else, not at the convenience of how much they can pay, not in the convenience of that. I mean, it's at your discretion to do what you want to do, but I'm telling you, in the long run, it's going to be chaos if you don't set it straight out the gate. Another good friend of mine down there in Alabama was telling me how he was like, you deserve a day off. People that's going to come is going to come. And that's what, I'll say to y'all. Don't get desperate because that'll get manipulated. The people that are for you are going to find you. You don't have to find them. They will find you. You'll do marketing, you network and you talk, you rub shoulders with people. You know what I mean? You got to be out there. You got to be active, but they will find you. You don't have to worry about all of that. And for the people that doesn't want to go or doesn't want to abide by your policy, your rules, your establishment, and how you want to live your life and your day to day, come, come. And I say that with the most respect. But you'll find yourself going year after year, showing up time and time again, showing your ass off, being there for them. And when it comes down, push to shove, when it's time to reciprocate the energy that you put out, it's ghosts and crickets. Ghosts and crickets. That's how it works. You got to understand there's real vampires out here, energy vampires out here. If you're not careful, if you're not careful, they can really do it down, and they can claim that they care, but nothing speaks louder than actions. They can tell you anything, but it'd be if they do it, okay. And they're one of the people that's doing it. I'm not talking to them. Is the ones that said all this and started doing something else that's not equivalent to what they're saying. So boundaries is vital. Boundaries is very important. Make sure you have them in place because it will save you down the long end. It will save you the headache, and it will bring forth and keep I would say scanning, but keep reevaluating the clientele that's coming to you. And speaking of that, is not what another thing about being a licensed massage therapist is it's not about what you put out. It's not about the money. It's not about the service or anything like that. It's all about, that's part of it. But it's about keeping your sanity. It's about you being healthy. It'll help prevent burnouts. It'll help preventing uh, a lot of anxiety. You can feel overwhelmed, which is going to lead me to the second part this kind of an overlap that I probably speak on the other portion, the other episode of boundaries. But everything that we do is an energy exchange when it comes down to this. The energy is going to be set in place, and you can be picking up something, and next thing you know, something that you love doing, you now hate doing. I done seen it. I done seen people go through school and they don't even want to be a massage therapist no more within a year. The average lifespan of a massage therapist career, I don't want to say lifespan, but the average lifespan of the career of a licensed massage therapist is 5 years. A lot do not make it past 5 years, maybe a couple of years, and they see the way the world is and dealing, interacting with everybody and understanding like, man, where are the good people? Where are the honest people? Not saying they don't exist out here too, but it's a lot that goes on. And starting off, they know. They know you're trying to do something different. And some look at it as an investment within you, and some look at it as I can take advantage of this. So make sure you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting your mental. That's what these boundaries are for. You're protecting your energetic space. That's what these boundaries are for. You're protecting your heart space, especially if you massage with your heart. You got to, and this is where boundaries within you and setting boundaries for you yourself comes intact. So all of that, it takes shapes and it takes place, and you gotta deal with it if you choose to go down this journey. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow all social media and everything. You know, make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're getting a proper rest. Because if you're not getting a proper rest trying to do all this, then That's another thing that you're not respecting your boundaries that you're placing for yourself. Getting the proper rest, getting the proper food or whatever needs. All of it matters and all of it counts. And this is something to think about. Like I said, we could talk more about it and go in more about it with it. But in the meantime, make sure you put you first, your authentic self first, and everything will take the shape that it needs to take place with. Appreciate the time for listening. I'm slowly coming back in everything and putting it together. Episode 29, 29 of these things. Wow. I thank y'all for listening. I thank for everybody that subscribed. I thank for everybody that's did that. But the next episode, we're going to go even deeper with. But I knew I had to get this out. So until the next episode, till next time, you know what we say. Resync back to yourself.
Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you share, like, comment, and subscribe so you can get notified on the new uploads to the channel. If you're watching this on my website, thezodiacexperience.com, make sure you join the email list where you can get notified on new episodes or even a chance to join the live show, me and the audience, and even get some cool gear like this jacket and shirt. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, iTunes, whatever you are, make sure you follow so you can get notified as well. And last but not least, if you're not following me on any of the social platforms, IG, Facebook, TikTok, etc., everything is at the Zodyac Experience. All the links, everything else could be found down below. Appreciate you tuning in. Once again, thank you. And remember to resync back to yourself.